Hey guys, it's Chandler, and welcome to the Healing Heroes.
I promise you.
I'm Chandler Stroud, an executive, wife, and busy mom of two, who after years of living with anxiety, health struggles, and an unshakable feeling like I should be happier, made a profound discovery that changed everything. Join me on a journey where unexpected paths lead to healing and more happiness. On this show, we'll explore unconventional ways to unlock more joy in your own life with the help of my very own healers and trusted advisors, the Healing Heroes. Hey everyone, I am so thrilled to have Bonnie back with us today. As many of you know, she has been my accountability coach for nutrition and exercise for the last couple years. And we've now had two great discussions on how creating that accountability for yourself and the power of no can truly transform your life. Today, we'll discuss that in greater detail, but with a lean toward how oftentimes we seek happiness and fulfillment outside ourselves, whether that be the promotion at work, that larger house, that beach body, the guy, etc., thinking that when we get the thing, I'll be happy, only to find out that when you do get the thing and you are successful in achieving whatever it is that goal becomes, you're happy for a brief period of time, but then that feeling tends to dissipate. And as the heroes and many women who have been on this journey to heal know, that happiness we seek is often in the work that we are avoiding and always begins within. Once you are good with you, everything around you begins to change. And in my experience, it was the accountability coaching and nourishing myself with the right clean fuel, hydrating, and daily movement. Those were catalysts for this healing journey beginning in the first place for two key reasons. One, it taught me to show up for myself day in and day out. It was the first time in a long time I had made a commitment to myself and was delivering on that commitment. And learning that motivation is not the same as commitment. There were plenty of days that I was not motivated, but I showed up anyway. And the accountability coaching taught me that so that I could go do the harder work that I've had to do in the past year. And then the second thing I would say is after achieving the weight loss, which was my goal all along, I always used to say, when I'll be thin, I will be happy. All of my problems will go away. And I was happy for a time when I lost that weight with All In back in 2018, but quickly came to realize that the goal that I had wanted to achieve all of my life, the one that I thought being thin would bring me that happiness I so desperately sought, it turned out there was a lot of deeper, more meaningful work that needed to happen internally for me to finally access that level of joy that I had been looking for so long. So I am so thrilled to talk more about that and this topic in particular with Bonnie today. First, here's a quick overview of Bonnie's background before we dive in case you're listening for the first time. Bonnie has changed hundreds of lives as a lifestyle coach with All In, a program that focuses on accountability, one-on-one personalized coaching, and tools that inspire a complete and lasting lifestyle shift toward good health and fitness. After personally succeeding with the program, she was tapped to coach, where her focus with clients is to build a lasting lifestyle through movement and clean fuel and to help readjust their mindset and approach to one of positivity and optimism. Bonnie, I am so excited for our conversation today. Thank you so much for being here with us again.
It is such a thrill, and this topic is really near and dear to my heart. So I'm looking forward to diving deep with you, and let's hit it.
Before we jump into today's very important topic, can you share a quick overview again of what accountability coaching with All In is and how you help clients in case there's new listeners with us today who may have not heard of All In or even accountability coaching more broadly?
Absolutely. All In is the key is our accountability. It is our secret sauce. And what that means is we are with you one-on-one coaching. We do now have group coaching, I will add, but it is the support you need It is the confidence that you might not necessarily have yourself, but we can provide for you. You begin your day with us. I start with a morning message. You will send us your pictures of food. Scales are optional. You will send us your workouts. We get you moving. We get you fueling your body beautifully. We get you back to feeling your absolute best. And for myself personally, having tried every program, you name it, under the sun, the accountability for me was key. And I think the fact that was most important for me was to have someone else believe in me, perhaps when we don't have that confidence in ourselves. The beauty of accountability coaching is that we hold our clients accountable to the goals that they set for themselves. So when you think about it, it's really cool. We're not setting the standards, they are setting the standards. We might be raising the bar a bit, but these are goals that they want to achieve. They haven't been able to do so on their own, and that's where we step in and we help them every step of the way, one day at a time.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Bonnie. Many women seek fulfillment in external factors like a job, home, social status, or appearance, just to name a few. Can you explain, in your opinion, Bonnie, why this external search often leaves them feeling unfulfilled in the long term?
Yes, absolutely, because I can speak from personal experience. I think until we are present and actively choosing to explore who we are from the inside out, that's when we really take control and charge of our lives. And personally, you're looking for the next best job. You're looking for the next best workout. You're looking for the next best guy or partner or friendship. And when you take it back to what makes you happiest, you focus on what's meaningful to you instead of what you think is meaningful to other people. We're not just chasing or keeping up with the Joneses. We're not just looking for the next best thing. For myself personally, when I really discovered that this journey was about so much more than just the weight loss for me, it was the way I woke up in the morning. It was the way I moved through my days. It was the way I treated other people. It was the way I handled situations that perhaps were out of my control when I always wanted to control the chaos. I realized that by just taking things one step at a time, re-examining how I feel about anything and redefining it for myself is what helped me move forward in every single aspect of my life.
I think you touched on something really important, which is you talk about redefining it for yourself. I think so often we live our lives according to the rules that our environment sets for us,
Yes.
right? Here's what everybody else is wearing.
Right.
Here's what everybody else is doing.
Right.
It is so freeing, but also acknowledging it's so hard to take that step back and think about what you really want and be comfortable going after it, even if it means it's a departure or detour from what everyone else is doing around you. And I think the other important thing I would just quickly say is like, this is built into our DNA, right? Like as humans, as cavemen way back, like if you weren't part of the tribe, you didn't survive. So like there is some element, I think, of needing to fit in that we're kind of in many ways resisting and pushing against when you drop into yourself and figure out what you want and go after that. And that's what makes it, I mean, amongst many other things, so hard and so scary, right? Because
Yes.
we're conditioned to want to do what everybody else around us is doing.
We want to fit in. And what I realized was that it was okay not to fit in. It was okay to go out on a limb and find something that actually made me happy. I was so used to pleasing everyone else and doing everything for everyone else as well that I really wasn't taking care of myself. So when I talk about redefining who we are and what we want out of life, what I learned, which is kind of interesting because change can be hard, as I always like to say, is that you are able to redefine your taste in food, your taste in music, your taste in who you hang out with, and even the movies and TV shows and programs we watch and books that we read. You're not stuck. You can change at any age and at any time. And I think that was one of the things where I had always been, maybe why I was stuck, because I was resistant to change. I didn't think that I would like this healthy lifestyle. I didn't think I would thrive with the clean food. I didn't think that the movement each day would be the passion in my life, and missing a day of working out or walking out or moving my body really, really affected me emotionally and mentally as well. So it's just, you're redefining every aspect of your life so that you can move forward in the most adventurous, positive, and balanced way. And as I always like to say, now and for your future.
We can't forget about the future. It's so important. We often do, but it's so important to have a clear visual of what you're trying to achieve. Or you're just living your life in this reactive autopilot state versus driving toward your goals and dreams. So I think that's an important point too. Bonnie, how can accountability, especially with food choices and daily movement, act as a catalyst for women to start getting curious about themselves and their true needs?
I think when you fuel yourself well, and I really do say this from experience and realizing what works for myself and what never did, but I thought was the way of life that I would have to live. I think when you start finding the foods that bring power to your days, add the energy, have your skin glowing, your hair thriving, energy to go through your workouts. I think that's what we do with All In. Not I think, I know it's what we do. We will help you tweak your menus. We will suggest foods that we know are going to give you the best energy. Whether you need to increase protein, whether we want to have you add a wide variety of more fruits and veggies, going out on a limb and trying something new. Because let's be honest, what we've been doing, or what most of us who come to All In initially for food, weight loss, cardio support, something's been missing. So we haven't been doing it right. And I think and I say this with the biggest smile on my face, because most people come and they are resistant to change. They're like, okay, a little skeptical. And I've had several clients who are like, oh, yeah, I don't do breakfast. I don't do breakfast. I'm like, well, we're going to do breakfast, and we're going to start with something really nutritious because it's the most important meal of the day. So we help in every aspect, whether it's the way you move, let's switch something up, whether it is the way you fuel your body. I think the mindset is the other aspect that hit me most powerfully, I should say, or had the most impact upon me, because what we encourage clients to do, beginning with my morning messages that I send out first thing, is we want you to wake up and understand that you have control over the way your day will flow. Some things, I get it, might be out of our control, but the way we react to that is how we grab back that power and balance and continue to move forward one step at a time. So with your mindset, most clients come into this program or lifestyle so defeated. I know I did. I didn't believe I could honestly do anything. And then with each baby step forward you take, you garner that confidence, you grab back your strength, and you come to realize that, you know what? I really am pretty strong. Like, I really can do anything I set my mind to do. And I promise you, you can. And they do, and you will.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's such an important piece, because what it does is, more than anything else, I do believe the accountability trains your mind. It trains your mind to recognize that you are more in control of your life than maybe you have been led to believe. And I think that specifically All In is about nutrition and exercise, but there are lots of different accountability programs that you could join for different things. If you want to be held accountable to journaling every morning and every night, or reading a book before you go to bed, whatever that thing is, I think there's something so fundamental in making a commitment to yourself, however small, and being held accountable to doing that thing. In our case, food and exercise is so powerful because it really transforms you physically as well as mentally, right? Like, you feel good. But I really believe that mindset piece is what has been such a catalyst for me, because it trained that part of my brain and my behaviors and my actions to make a commitment and keep showing up for myself. So when I embarked on a really difficult healing journey, I was able to do that hard work. Even on the days that I wasn't motivated to go to therapy and cry my eyes out on that couch, I went because All In taught me to show up for myself, and that I knew on the other side of that, I would feel better.
You know, it's funny. I always say that the relationship you have with yourself affects all your other relationships, whether it is with your children, whether it's with your husband, your partner, whether it's with your coworkers. What I have found is if you are confident and you are happy and you are personally satisfied and fulfilled, it seeps into, it can't help but seep into every other aspect and relationship in your life.
It's so true. We talk a lot about that on this show, whether with Catherine and energy healing or Katie and mindset coaching, like truly operating from that energy, your relationships shift. I mean, it's really incredible. Their behaviors, it's not even like yes, you're saying and doing things differently, but like so much of it is other people picking up on that frequency and that vibration and meeting you where you are versus where you were before.
It's even about how you approach doing something differently. For example, the way you might work out or things that, what I've eliminated from my vocabulary. I know you've heard me say this before, Chandler. I can't, that's gone. I won't. Oh, I don't think so. Or I hope. I don't use those words anymore because anything that I set my mind to do and what I encourage my clients to do is you'll never know until you try. So why not give it your best shot? And then when they do it, it is the most thrilling and exhilarating and uplifting moment to see what they've conquered, whether it is a run, whether it's a bike ride. Some people have never gotten on a bike before doing a program like this. They haven't even walked a full mile. So, we have people of all capabilities. I think I've mentioned before, I coach triathletes. I coach women that have never worked out before. I have people that are recovering from surgeries. I have people like myself with my knees that were recovering from injuries and trying to grab back their power. And I have clients who have had cancer and are now in remission. So it's a wide variety of clients that are just consistently reaching for more and understanding that, again, it's the relationship we have with ourselves, that anything we set our mind to do, it's possible. Nothing is out of our reach. And it's pretty amazing to see.
Are there any personal stories you can share, Bonnie, of how you shifted your focus from external validation to internal fulfillment? What changes did you experience as a result of that?
Well, I will tell you that years ago, when Scott and I were first married, I got the job of my dreams. It was absolutely everything I wanted, everything I worked for, and I thought it was going to make me the happiest person that I, ever been in my life. And it didn't. And that was kind of a shocker. And then once I realized that I needed to shift gears and that what I was currently doing at that time was not making my soul happy. Like I didn't get excited to go to work. My husband's dad used to say, if you work a day in your life and never feel as if it's work, you're a lucky person. And that's what I feel like with All In. I feel like I have finally come into the job that I was meant to do. And that's to help others. And that's to put a smile on their face and to inspire them and to encourage them to change and reach for more, because we can do it at any age in our life. And so it's funny when we think we know what we want and you chase and you get a great workout doing that. But then when you get there, you're kind of like, why am I not satisfied? And then when that happens, at least myself personally, I internalize and think, what's wrong with me? Why am I not happy? I just achieved what I wanted to achieve. So it's been mind-boggling at my age and at this time in my life to have the job that really I was always meant to have. It's a really, really cool experience. So I don't want to say be careful what you wish for, but be careful what you seek and make sure that it's something that really is soul satisfying to you and that you are passionate about, because I think the passion is what will drive you to succeed and excel and reach for more. I think for so long we stay stuck because we feel like we don't have an out and we don't have options available to you. And that's what I think we all need to understand, is that there are always options available. We can't let the patterns of our past define who we are moving forward into our future. And so I always say, keep your options open, read, learn, gain that knowledge, pursue the passions that you have, the inkling. I always say your dreams and aspirations. Don't ignore that quiet little voice inside of you that says, what if? Like, what if I did this? Can I do this? And you can, I promise you.
I love that you say that, because I have to tell you, that is what I am living right now. I could have easily said, oh, that's so crazy. Yes, I've done all these things to heal. And a podcast would be kind of cool, but it's so much work. And I've never launched a podcast. I'm in marketing. How could I ever do such a thing? I could have absolutely done that, but I knew there was something to discover, explore, and unearth. And so I started just doing, but All In taught me how to take those baby steps and move forward and make a commitment to something, to myself. And now I feel so fortunate. I'm working incredibly hard, but it doesn't feel like work because I'm so inspired every day. And I just want to help other women achieve this happiness that you and all the heroes have helped me discover for myself. And I'm so grateful.
I think that's the key. And I think when we are, those old behaviors and the old habits that we have, I kind of liken it to be, we were on autopilot. Like we were just cruising along. We didn't go left. We didn't look right. We just straight ahead, right? And if we're just on autopilot, we're not thinking for ourselves or we're not thinking about ourselves. And so I think once we get outside of that box and we really kind of think, what's going to make me happy? Like that's when I began my journey, I think I told you with All In, I didn't speak to anyone about it. I finally thought this is something I'm going to do for myself. And I wasn't happy being on autopilot. And I had a great life. Don't get me wrong. And you and I've discussed this, Chandler. But when we seek out more, it is so fulfilling from the inside out. You know it. I know it. I know it sounds like we drank the Kool-Aid, but honestly,
we probably did.
Right, I know, but
there's a lot of Kool-Aid to go around,
right,
guys.
And
there's plenty for everyone.
When you find that perfect dose of Kool-Aid and that passion of yours and the excitement that comes back into your life and the option and idea that you can do absolutely anything you want to do, you just have to step outside of that box and get out of your comfort zone. And sometimes you have to get out of your own way, as I like to say. The world is yours.
Yeah, it's so true.
And that's what you've done. I mean, that's the coolest thing about this whole podcast that you've created and the Healing Heroes and bringing us all together. It is beyond inspirational and it's so exciting. And that's why I'm so thrilled to be a part of it.
Well, I am thrilled that you are here as well. It would not have been the same without you, Bonnie. And I'm so grateful to you every day, not just for the podcast, but all the work we've done together over the last several years. So thank you for that. In your experience, Bonnie, what are some common pitfalls or challenges that women face when they try to find happiness externally? How can they overcome these challenges?
I think in order to garner that courage and overcome the challenges, you have to be vulnerable. And truthfully, I think many of us find and have a hard time baring our soul, becoming vulnerable, admitting where we might have shortcomings, failure. And I don't want to say failure, but where we aren't kind of pushing ourselves beyond that zone or that place where it makes us, it's nice and cozy and comfy, as I like to say, but we need to get out and beyond that. I feel like the majority of women don't understand, as I've said before, what they are capable of doing. And so it is leaning into being vulnerable enough to expose your weaknesses, to dive into your insecurities, because let's be honest, we've all got them, and the things you don't really want to face. And I think that's what a journey like this, and I smile with the biggest smile on my face as I say this, but I think that's what a journey like this brings about. And that's what All In, the beauty of it is that you really have to like peel away the layers of what's holding you back. And, okay, I didn't think about that. And then the relationship you develop with your coach, because you'll have conversations. It's all done via text messaging, as you and I have discussed. But I remember conversations that I had with my coach, even about how family members made me feel, or friends made me feel, or when I would go to events and because I wasn't drinking, I was the odd man out, or the, people that don't understand why I run miles a day. And they're like, why are you doing that? And I always felt like I had to defend myself. So I think when we lean into those vulnerabilities and we understand that that's what's going to help us grow, I think that's where we really, really find that success and that aha moment, like, I don't need to keep doing the same old stuff that I've been doing because that's in my past. And that those are the old patterns that I want to get rid of and the habits that I want to say goodbye to. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing when we kind of go into the most uncomfortable areas in our mind and the way we act and behave and the habits that we've had that we've embraced that we kind of need to push out a way.
Yeah, no, I think that's really powerful. And getting vulnerable, peeling back the layers, trying to understand what's underneath. And from my experience with you, what's really interesting, I talk in the first episode about how last June, this whole healing journey kicked off with physical symptoms of discomfort and bloating and stomach pains. I was on all in and working with you last June when those surfaced.
I remember.
And I do believe in large part it was because I was checking in with you every day. And I had to say, I need to take a break from all in for a little while so I can see doctors and
Right.
figure out what's wrong with me. Being in the pattern of showing up for myself like that every day helped push me to do the exploratory work to find out what was causing the discomfort and the pain, which led me down this path. But I think it was really important and helpful to have you and all in there in many ways, kind of being this external signal that things weren't right.
Right.
And that coupled with what I had learned about taking care of myself was a really good push to try and unearth some answers. And, you know, the rest is history.
Right.
But I think that's an important thing to call out in terms of being vulnerable, acknowledging when things aren't right, and acknowledging that sometimes you can't keep it all together, and that's okay. Sometimes you're really hurt and you need the support of somebody else. In this case, for me, it was doctors, or so I thought. And then, of course, I was healthy and sought the therapist and all that kind of stuff. And again, the rest is history. But that getting vulnerable and acknowledging I needed help and support was really the first step. And I do attribute all in to helping me get there.
I think it is such, I found it to be, my situation to be the exact same way. I think it is such an incredibly enlightening and empowering experience. I call it a journey because it really was a journey for myself. And I think you feel the exact same way. I've always said to Teddy, and I laugh because she tends to push me. Look at me, I'm getting uncomfortable as I say this. She pushes me so far outside of my comfort zone. No, honestly. And I love her for it because I'll send her a message. I go, I am so far out of my comfort zone right now with things that she'll ask us to do or bites or social media or something like that. Because I tend to be a very private person, but it feels so good. And it is so cool to think, oh my God, I just did that. So I always shoot her a thanks. So God, I'm really outside my comfort zone, but I feel good about doing it. And thank you for that.
I love that. I need some of that Teddy energy for promoting the show on social. Cause like you, I am also very private.
Yes. She is really good at pushing us into that. Get out there and show yourself and show the world what you can do, which I love that about her.
I do. I really do love that. I mean, yeah, that's great. The podcast is a good first step, but she can help me take it to the next level.
Yes.
What are some practical steps that women can take today to begin the shift from seeking external validation and fulfillment to nurturing their inner selves?
Truthfully, I mean, I have found that my writing, when I write things down, or when I'm out on my run and I'm thinking things through about writing the morning messages that I have to my clients, it's sometimes when I come up with my most profound thoughts and areas and goals that I want to tackle. And so when we put pen to paper, what I always like to tell clients is whether you're writing down, and I don't want to talk about food necessarily, but write down your emotions. Like, we used to do this thing with our boys when they were little. What was your high of the day and what was your low? Or what was the best part of this vacation and what was not the best? And so with my clients, I'll say, how was your weekend? What was the highlight of it? We need to focus on when clients or women in general focus on themselves and they turn things back to figure out what did make you happy today. And I just take it one day at a time. And sometimes it's one moment at a time or an experience at a time. But what made you really happy and why did that make you happy? And then if you write it down and you start expanding upon it, I think journaling is, at least I find it, a lot of people might not like to do it. I find writing is where I find all of my answers. So I would encourage women to just put their thoughts down. thoughts to paper, focus on the small moments in their days that had the most powerful impact. I think that's one really great step. Then I also like to say, again, I'm going to go back to the comfort zone. Do something new. Try something that you've never done before. Join a class. Go for a longer walk. Experience, read a new type of book. Find something that is going to make you expand your mind, your emotions, physically as well. But push yourself a little bit, because if we don't push ourselves, and yes, as a coach, if you're all in, we are going to push you. We're going to say, what do you feel about doing, like, how about doing this? How about doing that? But if you're not all in, I think one of the first examples or ways you can do it is just to give yourself that little push. Take your foot, shove yourself out the door, get out of your own way, and do something new that might be a newfound passion.
I love that answer, Bonnie. And I think those tips and tricks are so accessible to everyone listening right now.
Yeah. They're scary,
They're
though.
so-
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's scary to try something new. And yeah, I speak from experience on that, but it's the only way you're going to grow. You've got to get out of we've got to get out of our own way. And for so many years, I was the biggest obstacle in my way. And I say that to clients, like, get out of your own way. You just need to get out of your own way, because we are the biggest roadblock in the majority of our lives.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Bonnie. And that's what getting curious and trying the different
Curious is the best
approaches
word.
and tools we're talking about on the show, why it's so fun, because you are expanding and you're growing and you're looking at your life from a different lens and getting curious again.
And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We are never too old or too young to change. And, whether it's the way you move your body, the way you fuel your body, the way you approach life, the way you might deal with chaos, the way you tackle a job, we are all open to be able to change. And I am the biggest person, because every single aspect of my life from the inside out has changed since going all in. So again, I'm smiling from ear to ear, but it is really the most powerful feeling in the world to know that you are the creator of your own destiny, and the path is wide open.
I love that, Bonnie. Thank you. I think that's great inspiration for those listening, Bonnie. So thank you for sharing those insights. Can you, in that same vein, Bonnie, can you talk about the impact of small, consistent changes in daily habits on overall happiness and fulfillment? How does this tie into accountability?
I think consistency is key, and I will always say that. And it's funny, I just had a conversation with a client coming off the weekend, and she's like, "Oh, I had a horrible Sunday. I didn't do well." And she was focused on the scale. And I said, let's remove that scale. Let's look at the day you had. Did you move? Did you hydrate? Were you consistent? And I think consistency is the one thing that I realized was the most important thing, because most of us feel, I used to in the past, and I'm saying this laughing, I was good for 3 days. I don't need to work out today. I don't need to do anything. I can eat what I want. And that's the consistency. When you build that foundation, and I always use it because you are building a foundation brick by brick underneath your feet, and you keep adding on to that, it becomes your way of life. It becomes the foundation underneath your feet to keep adding on and creating the future that you want. So whether it is a workout every day, whether it is journaling and you're learning more about yourself each day, whether it is you're reading a new book and you're learning about something new, something you'd always been intrigued by, something you were fascinated with, and you have decided to pursue that. I just think as much information as you can gather in, as much positivity as you can add to support yourself from underneath so that you have a really strong foundation to stand on, that's where the consistency comes in. So these healthy habits, as I always like to say, they are small, they are tiny, but they add up to something so much bigger and powerful. Once you create these healthy habits and that foundation underneath your feet, it basically is a security that you feel today. And that security that you feel today will form the foundation that you will thrive upon in your future. So the sooner that we begin grabbing back our power, creating the healthy habits, putting our thoughts to paper, That security is your foundation, and you're just building upon it day by day. I always like to say that the best journeys answer questions that in the beginning we didn't even think to ask. And I think that's what was so mind blowing about my journey. And I love that little emoji, mind blowing one, on an iPhone. I always think it's so funny. But truthfully, the best journeys answer the questions that we didn't even think to ask in the beginning. That's what a journey is all about. Especially with the journey that you've been on, Chandler, and you kept looking, you kept seeking out more, you kept adding on to that foundation. It wasn't just the accountability, it was the mindset, it was spiritual, it was every aspect that added up for you that have you feeling really, really good, really strong, and ready to take on anything. So it's very
Thanks for that, Bonnie.
individualized.
It is
Yeah.
individualized. And I will say, like, I have been pretty good my whole life at, even when I'm scared, going for the things that I think will help me grow.
Yep.
I went to business school for my master's in business, and I chose a school that was incredibly quantitative in their approach to learning because I had struggled so much as a kid with math. And I had this belief that I wasn't good at math. And I was like, well, school is a time to mess up and take risks. So why not go work on my weakness somewhere where I may struggle a little bit, but I'll learn what I need to learn. And so I think that's the biggest example I have in my life of taking that leap. But I think you're absolutely right. This journey to heal has also been a lot like that. It's like, okay, I'm making so much progress and I'm loving all the things I'm doing. What else? Like, what
Well,
else can I add to the mix?
exactly. And I think the biggest change for me, and this is might sound silly, but when you wake up in the morning and you feel no guilt, you feel positive, you're ready to embrace the day, and you're happy. Because so much of my life, I think, before going all in was what I perhaps had eaten the day before, or what I didn't do that I should have done, would have, could have, should have, right? And when you are hitting your goals and when you are doing the things that you said you were going to do, again, this is where consistency comes in key. You wake up in the morning, you're excited. Like you're looking forward to the day. You're like, okay, what can I do today? What more can I do? What more consistency can I add in? How can I go further? So I think it's all about consistency in every aspect of our life, but waking up in that morning feeling happy and excited to be here and engage with clients or whatever work you're doing or whatever job or whether you're a mom or whatever positivity you can add into your day by just simply being consistent, it's just so key.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Bonnie. What mindset shifts are necessary for women to understand that true happiness begins within themselves? How can an accountability coach assist in that process?
It's the attitude that you can do anything you set your mind to do. And it sounds really simple, but when you place the trust in yourself and you find that trust again, it's life-changing. When you grab back that confidence I'm going to revert back to consistency again, by being consistent with what you're doing, by treating your body well from the inside out, fueling it beautifully, moving it beautifully, spending time with people that lift you up. I think women can shift their mindset by surrounding themselves with as much positivity and things that lift them up as they can. I know that that has been my personal gift. You want to, and that's meant I've had to say goodbye to some friendships. I mean, let's be honest, and that can be tricky because not everyone is meant to be in your life forever. I've learned that. You can still be friends, you can still have be acquaintances, but the people that really inspire you and lift you up and are there for you through the thick and thin, and celebrate this is what I think is so important, celebrate your successes as well as the difficult times. Because sometimes, and I think you and I have talked about this, Chandler, when you're succeeding, not everyone is there for you. And when things are hard, sometimes that's when your friends come in and they think that's what's most important. But I always love to lift people up when they're down, and I really love to celebrate everyone's success because I think that is the beauty of life, and cheering each other on, lifting one another up. So I think the can-do attitude for women is what's key in terms of mindset. and it's empowering. And that's what I really, really hope I pass along to my clients and everyone's life who I touch, whether it's friends, family, whatever.
That's great. I totally agree with that answer, Bonnie. And I do think accountability in particular can really assist in that process by proving to yourself that you can and you can show up in that way and you can do anything. So,
It's funny. I say that, I had failed so many times at so many things physically. And I mean, I'd been successful professionally. I'd been successful with my family and socially. But when you find what works for yourself, it's hard to leave that and say goodbye. It's just the accountability for me. Who knew? Honestly, I mean, can we honestly say, who knew that accountability, I would love it so much? And now I'm like, when I'm meeting people, I'm 5 minutes early. I do my best to be early rather than late. It's
I got to
just,
take a page out of your book.
yeah, it just changes everything though. And I'm like, I tell Scott on a humor story, I'll tell my husband, we have to be somewhere 15 minutes ahead of time because he's always running late. So, it's like, and he goes, well, wait, why are we? Just work with me on this one. So yeah, I think accountability is, people don't know that you need accountability in your life. And it really was the thing for myself that changed it all. Like, I love being held accountable. I love the commitment that I make to myself. I thrive upon consistency. I am a creature of habit. And who knew?
Who knew?
Right.
But it's
Eddie,
so true. I
Eddie
am
knew
also a
evidently,
creature
but
of
yeah.
habit. On that note, how important is it to have a support system in place to do this work?
Okay. It's very important to have a support system in place. But I think, as I've mentioned to you, when I began my journey, I did it very quietly. So I did not tell anyone that I was beginning All In because I did not want to hear the chirping. You're doing something again? Well, what happened about last time and this and that? I might not have received the support, even though everyone around me was supportive. I knew I needed something different. So that's where the accountability comes in. I think it is critical. We play a vital role in holding our clients to the goals that they've set for themselves. I can't say that often enough. And then having them reach for more. And I've always said what you're doing right now and right here is not easy. And we get it. And we do get it because each of us, that's the beauty, as I've mentioned, of All In, is that we were clients. We were people that were seeking to improve ourselves and change our lives before even becoming coaches. So now that we have discovered the beauty of accountability, now we can share that and pass that along with what I hope is leading with our hearts. First and foremost, so the clients know we get it, we understand, but we also believe in accountability. And I think that's what, as women, sometimes we didn't even know that we needed it. But for myself personally, it changed everything.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It changed everything. The support system is so important. And I think it's really helpful to have a program like All
I
In,
agree.
an accountability coach to help you along the way. But if you're feeling like you can't make that leap as of today,
Right.
find a friend to hold you accountable to whatever goal it is that you want to achieve. Maybe it's a workout buddy. Maybe it's something as simple as like, can you text me to make sure I'm not eating dessert after 8 p.m.? Or can you text me to make sure I've journaled in the morning? Or, whatever it may be. But I do think that support system is really helpful when you're trying to make a
I
change.
think it can even be something as simple as, now that kids are home from college, I know I have several clients who have their daughters by their side. I'm working out with my daughter. We're going to the gym. We're hitting this. We're doing that. Any small steps, I can't reiterate that often enough, that you can do to change your life, even if it is reintroducing books into your life, if you haven't read something in years. If you are not I have clients on a humorous note that do not like vegetables at all. And I'm like, well, let's try one new one. Let's go to the farmer's market this week and pick out something new. Kind of blows my mind about the veggies because I'm a huge veggie person, but that was kind of entertaining. You don't like any veggies, not even lettuce? I'm like, no. So just the simple things like the baby steps, the journaling, the meditation, finding some quiet time for yourself. I have found that one of the things that I love to do when I need to calm down is, and I've said this to Katie, our mindset coach on here, breathing, slow breathing. I will take 3 to 5 minutes, carve it out of my day just to slow things down, close my eyes for a moment and reset. And I think these are all simple things. Whether you're all in or whether you're not, taking the time for yourself to do what matters and can help you get your footing again and that foundation under your feet, as small as it may be, is what matters the most.
I totally agree. Bonnie, before we jump, I'd love to ask, what advice would you give to our listeners who are struggling to find fulfillment within themselves? How can they start making meaningful changes today?
And I say this with a deep breath. Sometimes you need to slow things down. And you need to, as I said earlier, be vulnerable. And what I would recommend is make a list. Start out and write down where you're happy, a pros and cons list if you want, what you're doing right with your life, and what we could perhaps tweak. Are you getting to bed early enough? Are you getting enough rest? Because it's always so important. What could we change there? What could you change in terms of the way you're fueling your body during the day? What could you change in terms of the people you're surrounding yourselves with? Are they making good choices? Will they benefit you? Do you need to add more action into your life? Do you need to slow things down? Do you need to learn to say no? Because we all do. Mm. What can you do with the smallest of steps to look at how your days flow and make those readjustments? And I know for myself, it was simple things like making sure that I scheduled in my workouts because I always found excuses not to. And I always like to say, you know, we keep the appointments with the doctors, with happy hour friends, right? With everyone else. Why was I canceling on myself so often? So I feel like if we write things down and put it to paper, that's when I commit. And especially even if you're not, well, with All In, we obviously are there to hold you accountable. But if you're not, what I'm saying is put it on paper and make it happen. Have a friend hold you accountable. Have your husband hold you accountable. Most importantly, learn to hold yourself accountable with that consistency and the commitment and understanding that you are so worth the effort and the research and the push to get out of your own way to find that satisfaction and fulfillment. It's not overwhelming. It's not asking too much. We all deserve it. And I really, you can tell the way I'm speaking right now, I really feel that so much.
I feel that too. And I feel your passion and your want for women out there to experience what you and I have been so lucky to find in our lives. So with that, thank you for being here as always and engaging in such a meaningful conversation as you always do. I feel very lucky to have you not just as my coach, but as my friend.
I appreciate it. And I feel so honored to be here. And I love what I do. I love being your coach. And I just hope that we inspire so many women to understand that the power is theirs and you can change at any moment in time. We just have to be brave enough to do so.
Yes, we do. And what we are trying to do with this show is help women find the courage to take those brave steps forward. So I really thank you for that. And to those tuning in, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please share it with friends and don't forget to subscribe. You can also visit healingheroespodcast.com to get resources, meet the heroes, and share your ideas for future episodes. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, remember, be curious, be courageous, and be kind to yourself. You've got this.